Okay, everybody, Tim here from Lessons on the Web again, and welcome out tonight for another live stream, or you might be watching this as a recording later on. But today we are talking about some different resources you can use to learn piano or music theory, or just practice, reading notes or whatever really you need to practice. We'll explore those different places, and I'll have the people in the live stream maybe share some of the things that they know about that we can take a look at together. So let's not waste any more time and let's get into the lesson. There we go, finally. Yeah, so Rich says right off the bat, so Rich and I were talking about before the stream started, basically about where you can learn, your scales and your fingering for scales. One such book that's really good for that is the Hanon book, and I do not have it handy right now. I actually think I lent it out to a student, but actually, you can go on Hanon's website also. Now, I've shown this off a couple times on the channel. Okay, so here we have hanononline.com, and if you scroll down here, you can find the different exercises that we can practice with. So these are all free, and you just click on the one that you need, and then you can download it or you can play it back. So it's a very neat, useful tool. So it shows you what it sounds like very loudly on my tablet here. And the best part also is that you can change the key that they're in. So if C is too easy for you, maybe D flat would be better. But you probably would want to go from like C to something a little bit easier like G. But yeah, you can probably get them in almost every key, and they're very helpful exercise for developing hand coordination and different strength between different fingers. It's really useful for that. If you practice these exercises on a regular basis, you will get you will get a considerable amount better at the piano for sure. You certainly will be able to play up and down the keyboard a bit better. And at the back of the books, I'm not sure if it's on the site, I haven't seen it, they have scales, and they give you the fingering for the scales. So obviously you have to play the right scale with the right fingers. Or they will not work out quite correctly. Let's see if I can get through all the majors. Although I am going easy, one octave. So you have to know the proper fingering for all your scales. So this would be a good resource, although you might have to get the book for that. I'm not sure if Rich knows whether you can get that out of the website or not. Okay, so we'll just continue here. Yeah, I think I covered pretty much everything there is on the site. I mean, obviously you can take a look around to see if there is something I haven't talked about. Oh, it says piano backing tracks. This is interesting. Play along recording. Okay, so if you wanted to play along with a recording, this website has that as well. One of the best websites, in my opinion, is musictheory.net. Now, as Rich mentioned in the beginning of the live stream in the chat, was he had downloaded the Tunuto app. And so they do have apps now. They even have theory lessons, and those are okay. My theory lessons, I think, are a little bit better, only because these ones, don't get me wrong, they're pretty good at explaining very simple things, but probably not the best for explaining something a little bit more complicated, but it does do the job. I have used that tool before to show some of my students some things on there. Okay, lessons. So, like I said, they have different lessons on things. Like if you're learning about rests, you can click on the lesson, and it'll basically just start going through, the different types of rests and telling you how much they play, how long they play rather, and what they're equal to. Okay, and then you press the next button down here, and that shows you exactly what it's talking about. So it is a very useful tool. It's a very cool little free visual tool for you. You can do other things like time signatures, the staff and the ledger lines. So this is like basically explaining it, showing you the lines and spaces. Probably know a lot of this by now, but perhaps not. So this is a great resource if you're just starting out. You know, of course, watching them or using them along with my videos would probably be also really awesome. And then, yeah, they have things like dots and ties, odd meter, you know, and it actually goes down a bit. So, you know, they do have a few more complicated topics rather than just the very basic ones. But some people prefer, you know, to see a video. But I think this would be great, especially along with something else. Okay, and then under exercises, we have note identification. We've done this a bunch. Hold on. Sorry, I had some allergies there for a second. So, we did the note reading before. You know, you pick out your notes and what you need. Whoa, pretty loud. And then, oh yeah, one thing I want to show you is that if you go up to the little bar here, you can adjust the range of these. And it's pretty neat. And that'll be your range of the notes that they fall under. In case you want to practice a certain range of notes, like maybe from C to G, or you know, the bottom line to the top line, you would use that tool. Or just the ledger lines above. You would set it both of them really high. Like if I wanted to practice only notes above the staff, I could set the bottom and the top, you know, to just be above the staff there, and that way I could practice those. So that should be pretty helpful. Let me move this over a little bit. Hopefully it's not getting in the way there. All right, so we're going back. Okay, so we also have key signature identification. You click on that, and you go through and you practice your key signatures. I won't go through all that stuff today. Whoops. Okay, fretboard. Yeah, we don't play guitar, but as you can see, they have a bunch of things here that are really helpful. If you're doing ear training, this is a cool tool to use because you have to figure out, wait, reference C? I don't get what it's asking me. Question note, is it G? Okay. D. I don't, well, oh yeah, that's right. So it gives you the C, and then you find the note above that. A little bit tricky there, but it works pretty well. Okay, if you go to the tools, I haven't looked in here in a while. Accidental calculator. Display the correct accidental for the specified note in the key. That's pretty useful. That's a little bit more complicated music theory. It's not very complicated, but it's more complicated than like a very beginner, rather. The matrix calculator. Oh, this is cool. Well, you might probably don't know what this is, but so what I just did, so you notice how at the bottom it says tone row. So what you do is you pick 11 notes, you know, in a sequence. But they don't have to be all in a row like, you know, a normal scale. So it would be like you're making up your own scale. Like that. I don't know if that was 11. I don't think it was. But anyway, you put them in here. I'm not going to explain all about it. But then you build a song around that. So let me just say I made it out of these notes. Oh no, they always have to be different. Yeah, that sounds kind of cool. And then the whole song would be just using those notes. Oops. And then maybe... Actually, it worked out kind of well, but you're supposed to pick out 11 of them. So that does add a little bit more dissonance into there. It worked pretty well with only like 6 notes or so. But that's generally what it does. And then you can put that in that order, or you can put it in what they call an inversion, or whatever I did. Like that. And that's what all these means. Like the I means inversion, and then the 4 means how many half steps it is. I'm not going to tell you exactly about it, but this is what's called a 12-tone technique. I think you pick a 12 in total, actually. Oh, that's right, because there's a 0 on the tone row. So that's why there's 12 total. So you pick 12 notes, sorry. And it's just called the 12-tone system, I guess, for rating music. So it's very contemporary. It's not used, obviously, in Mozart's time, but there's something you should be aware of if you ever see it. Okay, they have a tempo tapper. So if you're trying to figure out how fast something is, say it's 1, 2, 3, 4. About 142 beats per minute. What about slower? That was at about 85. That was 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's kind of cool because you can find how fast you want to go and then figure out what the number would be on the metronome. But that's not that difficult anyway, but it is useful. Exercise customizer, huh? Interesting. This might be useful for videos